Everyone seemed to enjoy the Christmas special, and while I can agree that the idea of Snowman being employed by the Great Intelligence was good, like many of Stephen Moffat's stories lately, I don't think it was executed very well. Now, I get a lot of people telling me that I pick episodes apart, that I intentionally look for things to complain about. Listen, what I'm about to show you are oversights from the writers that would not have happened in the original series. For those of you that were blinded by the forced drama on Christmas Day, here are 9 points about the Snowmen that were either gaping plot holes, technical oversights, or just plain out ridiculous elements. Number 1. The TARDIS in the clouds. Did no one catch this on Christmas Day? What purpose was served by having the TARDIS high up in the clouds like fairyland on top of a spiral staircase? None! If the Doctor wanted to hide the TARDIS, he could have just parked it on a street corner and flipped on the cloak like he did in The Impossible Astronaut or in The Invasion. Even more so, if the Doctor wanted to be left alone, why the fuck would he park on Earth? The same planet that his last 2 companions not only came from, but died on. Why not go to some uninhabited planet somewhere? I've racked my brain trying to come up with a reason for this, and I can only come up with one. That entire part of the story was set up for the sole purpose of being a death note for Clara. If you wanted to kill Clara, why go through all of that ridiculous fairy tale bullshit? I know the answer. Because her falling out of the sky with arms outstretched in slow motion just oozes drama. That's why you included that scene. You could have had her gobbled up by some of the snowmen. After all, they did eat people earlier in the episode. But then that wouldn't have left an opening for the tearjerker scene later in the episode. Listen, when your obsession with making things overdramatic gets to the point to where you set up entire story elements for the sake of 10 seconds of drama, you lose all respect for me as a science fiction writer. Get the fuck out. There's plenty of openings for you down the hall at East Enders. Number 2. Doctor Who? Jokes. Okay, listen. This whole Doctor Who thing is getting bloody ridiculous. It's okay when it's seldom used, maybe once every 3 to 4 seasons, but 3 to 4 times in one episode? Now it just sounds ridiculous. And now even the title of the show sounds stupid. Number 3. The Sontarans. What fucking batch of Sontarans did Strax come from? Are these the same Sontarans that threatened to take over Gallifrey in the Invasion of Time? I find it hard to believe that as ignorant as the writers portray Strax to be, that his species would be cunning enough to use another race of beings to gain access to the home planet of the Time Lords. Why is a comical character fucking necessary? Listen, your little kid viewers don't want to be pampered and told that everything's gonna be okay. They want the shit scared out of them. And you scare the shit out of them with Blink and Silence in the Library. So what the fuck happened? Why all of a sudden does the scare factor have to be kept in check by a comical character? Virtually every fucking episode now, particularly the specials, have at least one character that serves no other purpose than just to be ridiculous. Listen, children don't watch this show because they want to be pampered. They watch it because it scares the shit out of them. Stop being little bitches about it. Of course the parents are going to fuss about it. They always have. Jesus, you're trying to be so politically correct with it that you completely lose what the show is meant to be. The Sontarans were meant to be a force to be reckoned with, no less menacing than the Daleks or the Cybermen. Yes, they do look like overgrown potato heads, but do you think that's what the original creator of the Sontarans was intending them to be? No! Do these Sontarans look like the type of person you'd want to be in alliance with? When did 2 entirely different species, the Silurians, who are native to Earth, and the Sontarans, who have the entire universe to roam, suddenly become allies? The Sontarans of the original series would have just as well seen the Silurians perish in favor of their never-ending war with the Rutans. Every time you write a potato joke about the Sontarans, you're shitting on everything that Robert Holmes intended them to be in The Time Warrior. The the story that introduced the Sontarans. And there's no going back now, is there? You've completely, totally, absolutely reimagined the Sontarans as these short, potato-like dwarfs that bumble around like some buffoon. Thanks, Moffat. Thanks for taking a shit on Robert Holmes' grave. Number 4. Your neighborly alien. Silurians and Sontarans, two freakishly different species, now roam the streets of Victorian London without so much as even causing a whimper. How the fuck does this happen? How did two aliens manage to exist in Victorian times without being shot on the spot? Have you ever seen The Evil of the Daleks? The Victorian people of that story were terrified at the sight of a Dalek, and they looked like oversized salt shakers. Number 5. Captain Latimer. What was the point of him? His character in that story had no purpose other than to explain why Clara was a nanny. Who the fuck cares? I would just as easily be able to accept that she's a nanny without any reason, just as I accepted that Sarah Jane was a journalist. Number 6. Pond. Moffat, what the fuck? You spend the entire story relaying that the Doctor is upset over the departure of the companions, which I'll touch on in a moment, that he changes his costume and the interior of the TARDIS all to forget about him, and then you work the name Pond into the story. Stop fucking dwelling on it. Jesus, why can't when a companion leaves, they're fucking gone? Move the fuck on. It doesn't take a scientist to realize that all you're doing is playing on your teenage audience's emotions. Again, when that's the basis of your writing, get the fuck out. You suck at writing science fiction. Number 7. Clara the Unbreakable. I've read a few reviews for this episode, and why no one mentioned this is beyond me. Let's apply a little reality to this episode. Now, I know it's science fiction, but the original series seldom broke the laws of physics without a plausible explanation. The TARDIS is at cloud level. That's pretty damn high. How high? Well, it's higher than the tallest building in the world. Clara falls off the cloud, free falls through the atmosphere, bam, hits the ground, and what happens? Not even a drop of blood. What actually should have happened? She should have looked like this fucking watermelon. I don't care what planet you're from. If you free fall from that altitude, there's not going to be anything left of you to pick up. The ants won't even bother. Again, this entire sequence completely threw science out the door for the sake of 10 fucking seconds of drama. Number 8. The Magic of the Minds. This should have been the title for this episode, just like the Power of 3 was a direct reference to the Doctor and his companions. All this build-up on how powerful and strong the Great Intelligence is, so powerful that not even a 1,000-year-old Time Lord can beat them, even though he's beat them twice in the past, and the whole thing gets destroyed by one Victorian family crying on Christmas Day. Give me a break. Number 9. Human Doctor. In the 1996 Doctor Who movie, the 8th Doctor was revealed to be half human. This ended up being somewhat of a dud, so in 2005 it was re-established that the Doctor was in fact 100% Gallifreyan. This whole thing about the Doctor mourning the loss of his companions? What loss? Does no one pay attention to what happened here? Amy and Rory got exactly what they wanted. They left the TARDIS and grew old together. What loss? Adric was killed, for Christ's sake, and the 5th Doctor was at this damned upset. Now, some people tell me that I'm heartless for thinking that the Doctor shouldn't be as upset as he is. And you know what? I would be heartless if the fucking Doctor was human. He's not. He's over 1,000 years old. He's been to every corner of time and space. He's seen the coming and going of dozens and dozens of companions. Why, all of a sudden, does the departure of 2 companions that he barely knows affect him so emotionally? Answer, the drama factor. Admit it. That entire thread is in there to please your idiotic masses who watch an episode of senseless drama and then rave about how clever it was. There you have it. 9 points. I didn't have to pick this episode apart to find this stuff. It was oozing out of your television screens. People ask me, well, if you dislike it so much, why do you still watch it? Well, I watch it for the same reason that people kept watching during the McCoy years. I watch it in the hopes that one day my wishes for the series will be granted. If there's anything that should be a gift to the longtime fans for the 50th anniversary, it should be a reboot of the series into what it used to be. There is no greater gift you can give to a community of fans that have spent thousands and thousands of their dollars on useless Doctor Who merchandise and have stayed loyal to the series even in the 15 years it was off the air.